A beautiful girl was constantly harassed by a stalker because of her beauty. She received hundreds of threatening letters every day, but on the day of her engagement party, she was found dead in the bathtub, completely naked. One day, Detective Kagoro received an invitation from Yoko and went to attend the engagement party of her friend Kaoru. However, because Kaoru had been constantly harassed by a stalker, she immediately mistook Kagoro for a pervert when they first met. It turned out that Kaoru had become famous after starring in a new movie. Although she gained many fans, she also began receiving numerous threatening letters. While they were talking, the other guests gradually arrived. They were her fiancé Kanzaki, as well as former girl group members Yuki and Terumi. The 4 girls present had all been members of the once popular band Earth Ladies. However, due to disagreements among them, the group eventually disbanded, and they each moved into the film industry. Just then, a man wearing an apron walked out of the kitchen. He was Kaoru's manager, Makuma, but for some reason, the moment Kaoru saw him, she suddenly became furious. After angrily saying a few harsh words, she walked straight to the bathroom to take a shower. Everyone was stunned by her reaction. Meanwhile, the other 3 girls began getting ready and changed into the stage outfits they used to wear during their performances. They even personally wrote congratulatory cards for Kaoru. However, just as the atmosphere became lively, Kaoru still had not appeared. Everyone began to realize that something was wrong. Kagoro suggested that Kanzaki go check on her. Conan also volunteered to go with him, but as soon as he walked out of the bedroom, he noticed a trail of blood on the floor that led all the way toward the front door. His detective instincts immediately told him something was wrong. Conan quickly ran over and asked Kanzaki to check the bathroom. When they opened the door, they found Kaoru unconscious in the bathtub. Conan immediately rushed over and checked her condition. He discovered that she still had a pulse. Soon, everyone else arrived, but strangely, Makuma immediately picked up Kaoru and began crying uncontrollably. Kagoro quickly told Rand to call an ambulance. Soon after, the police arrived at the scene and began questioning everyone present. According to everyone's statements, the first person to go check on Kaoru was Makuma, followed by her fiancé Kanzaki. However, since Kanzaki had never left Conan's sight from the beginning, he could not have been the culprit. Therefore, Makuma became the prime suspect. At that moment, Conan pointed to the evidence nearby. There was a blood-stained raincoat, a torn glove, and a bottle of anesthetic. Inspector Magyar suspected that an outsider might have committed the crime. He believed the culprit first used a handkerchief soaked with anesthetic to knock Kaoru unconscious, then cut her throat with a knife, threw the raincoat and other evidence outside the door, and escaped while no one was paying attention. Kanzaki then added that Kaoru had recently been relentlessly harassed by a stalker. She had also received many threatening letters, all containing the same message: "I will come back again." Kanzaki believed that the stalker had lost control and eventually broke into the apartment to kill Kaoru. With this clue, Magyar sent officers to investigate the surrounding area, hoping to find anyone who had noticed a suspicious person wearing a raincoat. Conan pointed out that the culprit must have been extremely calculating, because although the raincoat was dripping with blood, the person wearing it never stepped on a single drop. Conan's words reminded Officer Takagi of something. He guessed that the culprit had been holding the raincoat in his hand, intentionally allowing the blood to drip onto the floor. The purpose was simply to make everyone believe the culprit had escaped outside. Inspector Magyar agreed that their reasoning made sense. The culprit was most likely someone inside the apartment. At that moment, Terumi stepped forward. She suggested that they should search for the murder weapon, because none of them had left the apartment during that time. If a blood-stained weapon was found inside, it would prove that the culprit was one of them. But if no weapon was found, then the culprit could only be an outsider like the stalker. The police then began a thorough search of the apartment and checked all the suspects. Meanwhile, Conan learned from Yoko that Makuma had actually been an actor at first, but for some unknown reason, he suddenly quit acting and became Kaoru's manager. Soon, the police finished searching the apartment. Unfortunately, they found no blood-stained weapon. The only suspicious discovery was a hidden listening device inside a teddy bear in Kaoru's room. Her drawer had also clearly been searched through. Magyar suspected that the culprit had secretly monitored Kaoru through the listening device, then attacked her while she was taking a bath alone. Based on this, the stalker who sent the threatening letters became the most suspicious person. However, Conan quickly noticed something strange, because if the culprit had acted on impulse, they would definitely have stepped on the bloodstains on the floor. After that, Conan went alone to Kaoru's bedroom and searched through the drawers for clues. There, he found an intimate photo of Kaoru and Makuma, but just as he was thinking about the relationship between the two, Terumi suddenly appeared behind him and warned him not to mess with the girl's belongings. Then, she casually placed the congratulatory cards everyone had written earlier onto the table. At that exact moment, Conan noticed something unusual. A small detail on the card made him understand the entire truth. He had figured out what the culprit used as the murder weapon, and how they managed to destroy it afterward. Meanwhile, the hospital sent back news that Kaoru had been rescued and was finally out of danger. Everyone could finally breathe a sigh of relief. But at that moment, Conan noticed that Yuki had quietly walked into the kitchen alone. Conan immediately followed her. Then he revealed the entire truth. The real culprit was Yuki. The reason the police could never find the murder weapon was because the weapon was actually Yuki's fingernail. As long as it was sharpened enough, a fingernail could become a deadly weapon. To prevent any blood from getting on her body, she deliberately wore a glove with a hole cut for her thumb and put on a raincoat. After the attack, she intentionally scattered blood on the floor, then threw the blood-stained raincoat and glove outside the door, creating the illusion that an outsider had committed the crime. As for the stalker, the threatening letters, and even the teddy bear with a hidden listening device, they were all distractions planted by her in advance to mislead the police. The messy drawer in Kaoru's room was probably caused when Yuki was searching for a nail clipper. At that time, she wanted to quickly find a nail clipper, cut off her real nail, and replace it with a fake one. Unfortunately, she never found it. After committing the crime, Yuki used her teeth to slowly crush the fake nail into pieces and flush them down the drain. That way, even if the police found it, they would never connect it to the murder weapon. The real evidence was actually hidden in the congratulation card they had given Kaoru. After signing her name, Yuki deliberately left a lipstick mark on the card, but a small part of the lipstick mark had already turned black. That was because when she bit her fake nail apart, some of Kaoru's blood accidentally got onto it. After the blood oxidized, it turned black, becoming the key piece of evidence. Conan believed that once the police tested it, the entire truth would be revealed. Faced with the overwhelming evidence, Yuki had no choice but to confess everything, because even without Conan's deduction, Kaoru, who had survived, would have eventually revealed the truth herself. Yuki had always been jealous that Kaoru was more beautiful and more talented than her. Moreover, Yuki had fallen in love with Kenzaki a long time ago, but even knowing that, Kaoru still took him away from her. That was why Yuki decided to kill her. However, when she actually carried out the attack, she still couldn't bring herself to take Kaoru's life. Before anyone could react, Yuki suddenly collapsed to the ground. Her body was trembling, and her heartbeat was rapidly increasing. Conan immediately realized that she had probably taken a large amount of blood sugar-lowering medication. Seeing that her condition was critical, Conan quickly grabbed some white sugar from the kitchen and forced it into her mouth. Fortunately, 2 days later, the unconscious Yuki finally woke up, and Kaoru had been staying by her bedside the entire time. After everything that happened, the two best friends finally opened their hearts to each other. Kaoru chose not to expose Yuki. Instead, she lied to the police and claimed that the culprit was an unknown overweight woman. As for Kaoru and Kenzaki's engagement, it had only been an act. On one hand, it was meant to create publicity for her career. On the other hand, it was also a way to provoke the person she truly loved, Makuma. In fact, 2 days before the incident, she officially got engaged to Makuma, and with that, this case finally came to an end. Viewers who have watched Detective Conan know that some of the criminals' methods in the series are so exaggerated that they seem completely unrealistic, and this case is also one of the most unbelievable stories from the early episodes. After Conan finally exposed the truth, everyone present was completely shocked. On a stormy night filled with thunder and rain, Ayumi was walking alone in the rain. At that moment, a strange figure quickly walked past her. Driven by her strong curiosity, she decided to follow them. However, beside the window of a nearby detached house, she saw a strange and flickering ghostly flame. The next morning, Ayumi immediately told Conan about her mysterious encounter. She also mentioned that 5 years ago, a bizarre murder had occurred in that old mansion. The culprit had never been caught. After the murder, the entire mansion became surrounded by a terrifying atmosphere. At night, eerie sighs could often be heard coming from inside. Even stray dogs that accidentally wandered into the house would mysteriously die. When Ayumi reached the scariest part of the story, she couldn't help but scream. The sudden scream startled Conan, but Mitsuhiko, who was standing nearby, simply dismissed it. He said that these supernatural rumors had no scientific basis at all. Genta immediately decided to visit the haunted house at night and investigate the truth. Conan was completely helpless. but he couldn't refuse his friends. In the end, he was forced to join them on the adventure. Night soon fell. The group successfully entered the mansion through a hidden passage. Suddenly, a loud thunderclap echoed through the sky. Frightened, Ayumi rushed straight into the house. In her panic, she crashed into something in front of her. When she looked carefully, she saw a terrifying demon statue standing right before her. Afterward, Ayumi got dust on her hands, so she went alone to the bathroom to wash them. This seemingly ordinary action caught Conan's attention because he noticed something unusual. The group then continued exploring deeper into the haunted mansion. Suddenly, a door slowly opened by itself. Everyone instantly became nervous. They carefully approached and checked, but they soon discovered that it was only the wind blowing through a broken window that had pushed the door open. After realizing it was just a false alarm, Mitsuhiko suddenly needed to use the bathroom, so he left alone. Then, a low and terrifying growl suddenly echoed through the darkness. Suppressing his fear, Mitsuhiko slowly followed the sound. At the corner of the stairs, he discovered a heavy iron door that looked like the entrance to a prison. Mitsuhiko reached out and opened the door. Inside the pitch-black room, 3 strange flames suddenly appeared. Terrified, Mitsuhiko collapsed to the ground and screamed. His scream immediately alerted Conan. Conan instantly realized something was wrong. He was certain that this supposedly haunted mansion was hiding a secret that no one knew about. With that thought, he told Ayumi and Genta to wait where they were. Then he ventured deeper into the mansion alone to uncover the truth. During his investigation, Conan's eyes accidentally noticed a group photo placed on the living room table. The man in the center of the photo was the owner of the mansion who had been murdered 5 years ago. Just as Conan was about to examine the photo more carefully, Genta's scream suddenly came from nearby. At the same time, Ayumi, who had become separated from everyone else, saw a faint light at the end of the hallway. Thinking it was Genta ahead, she quickly ran toward the light, but as the footsteps got closer, she suddenly realized that the person approaching was not Genta at all. At the critical moment, Conan quickly pulled her into a corner and hid with her. Conan finally saw the person clearly. It was a woman with long hair. After the woman turned and left, Conan immediately followed her quietly with Ayumi, but when they turned around the corner, the woman had mysteriously disappeared. Conan quickly noticed marks left on the floor. Beneath those marks was a hidden sliding door. He immediately removed his detective suspenders. One end was fixed to a chandelier, and the other end was tightly attached to the sliding door. As the suspenders slowly tightened and pulled, the hidden door gradually rose. Behind it was a secret entrance leading underground. The two carefully entered. Deep inside, they saw a faint light shining ahead. Conan quickly approached and carefully looked through the gap in the door. Behind it was a huge sealed prison room, and inside that prison, a man had been locked away for many years. At that moment, the long-haired woman entered the room carrying a tray of food. She slowly placed it in front of the imprisoned man, but the man suddenly lost control of his emotions. He knocked all the food onto the floor in anger. Through their conversation, Conan finally understood the relationship between them, but before he could organize all the clues, Ayumi accidentally knocked over a broom nearby. Conan quickly caught the falling broom with his foot, but accidentally knocked a metal bucket off a cabinet. The loud noise immediately alerted the woman inside. At this critical moment, Conan revealed the truth behind his deduction. The mansion owner who was murdered 5 years ago was actually the woman's husband, and the real culprit behind the murder was the son she had imprisoned. In order to help her son avoid punishment by waiting until the statute of limitations expired, she chose to lock him inside the mansion for years. The fact that the water tap inside the house had continued running with clean water all this time proved that after the murder 5 years ago, the mother and son had been living here in isolation from the outside world. After hearing Conan's accurate deduction, the woman completely broke down emotionally. She immediately raised the knife in her hand and slowly walked toward Conan, but at that moment, the imprisoned man suddenly spoke. He desperately begged his mother not to kill anyone. He pleaded with her to let him take responsibility for his mistake and atone for his crime. Then, with tears in his eyes, he revealed the truth from 5 years ago. 5 years earlier, he had fallen into despair after failing his entrance exams. Instead of receiving comfort and understanding from his father, he was constantly insulted and rejected by him. His father even threatened to cut ties with him completely. The overwhelming anger and humiliation destroyed his ability to think clearly. In a moment of rage, he accidentally killed his own father. After revealing the tragedy of his past, the man completely broke down. Even so, his mother continued to comfort him stubbornly. She believed that if they could just survive until the statute of limitations expired, he could return to a normal life, but Conan told her, even if he managed to escape legal punishment by luck, he would never be able to escape the guilt inside his own heart. After hearing Conan's words that struck directly at her heart, the woman finally let go. The next morning, Genta and Mitsuhiko, who had slept through the entire night, were safely found and were completely unharmed. It turned out that the woman had never intended to hurt them. She had only secretly given them sleeping medicine and allowed them to sleep peacefully. In the end, the mother chose to let go of her obsession. She took her son, who had committed the crime, and voluntarily went to the police station to turn themselves in. The hidden case that had remained unsolved for 5 years finally came to an end. However, the detective boys did not receive praise or recognition for solving the mystery. Instead, they were severely scolded by their parents for their reckless adventure.